Page 125, A Visit to the Royal Court. On page 124, they're introducing you to another flavor of chord. We got all kinds of flavors of chords. We've had major and minor. We know what those are, I hope. Major chord, just review, because it's kind of important if you're going to get into the theory at all. A major chord is a major triad and a minor triad on top of each other. It's a major chord. A minor chord is a minor triad and a major triad. They just flip them. So here, it's a minor chord. Well, on page 124, we get a thing called an augmented triad. Isn't this wonderful? An augmented, just keep it simple, okay? Augmented is, you start with a major triad and you simply take the top note up a half step. So an augmented triad is two major thirds. A major third and a major third. Together is an augmented triad. So we have major, minor, and augmented. There's more, stick around, but that's what we're working on now. Okay, just keep these in mind. You get these in this Royal Court thingy, and they show you at the top where at the beginning, at the warm-up, you have a C chord, and then they take the top here. That is a C augmented. You don't need to say major augmented. If it's augmented, it's major. Okay, it's just, and then the 4 chord. See, it leads into it. 1. And second measure, you have an F chord, and then an augmented, F augmented, or an augmented F, which direction you're going. And third measure, it's a G chord, augmented. And yes, you use sharps on those, not flats. Sharps on those. That's a G sharp. First measure, that's a G sharp. That's not an A flat. An A flat would be something else. Just don't go there right now, okay? It's G sharp. And that's augmented chords. Just keep them in mind. They sound a little funny, but the idea is you got consonants and dissonance. In music, we talked about that a little bit. Consonants is where it sounds nice. Dissonance is where it doesn't. Yeah, adds a little tension. Anyway, let's see what's happening in this chord. Look it over, it's 4 lines long. Treble, bass, clef, 1 sharp in the key signature. We're either in the key of G major or E minor, because those have 1 sharp. Look at the end, the last measure, we're here. We're in a G major chord. I'm guessing we're in G major. It might go to some other key in the middle. Don't care, that's just all I'm interested in for this part. And 2 4-time signatures, so a quarter note gets a count, and we got 8th notes going nuts, and some 16th notes. Well, the 16th notes are going to slow it down. Well, that's all right, we'll deal with that later. Take it one hand at a time, let's see what we get. We're starting here in the right hand, and it's 1 and 2 and then this is just a you have a C. It would be a D major scale, but we have a C natural. If there is a name for it, I don't want to go there. Let's just play this. 1 and 2 and. It's almost like you're playing a G major scale, but you're starting on the D instead. That's all right. And then you got 1 beat rest to get back down here, a little finger. This is measure 5. 1 and 2 and. Little finger, crunch up. That's all right. We just walk around. Measure 9. 1 and 2 and 1. And then that scale again. Like okay. Last line. You're here. This is similar to the second line. And then little finger. And then they want here. Well, that's just silly. I'm not going to do that. Come on. I mean, you get away with it because of the articulation. But again, I want a fingering that works connected because that's a more reliable fingering, especially when you get nervous. I don't want to go from here to here. No. So, there's a few choices. It doesn't really matter. You're going to end up here. So, how you get there is, I just stay there. And I can do a 4 here. I can go, this is the last 2 measures. I can go 3, 2, there, and then a 1, 3. But want to cross over the fourth finger, I do the third. So it is a 1, 3, 2. And then a 1, 3. And that works out fine. So that last line again is here, 2, and the little finger, and a 1, 3, 2, 3. And for the last chord, I would not use a 1, 2, 5 here. Take the last measure. All the notes in the last measure is this and the chord together. It's that extended position I've been talking about. We have the G chord, but we extend out to the octave and we play still. That's the fingering for it. So that's the fingering I'm going to use. I don't need to move the hand. I'm just reaching out here and then 2, 3, 5. It really comes in handy in a lot of pieces, so I encourage you to get into the habit of that. When you see that, just do that. You don't have to be moving around. I mean, you can if you want to. Or if your teacher insists, no, you do that. You do it, fine, do it. But I would not do it. Left hand, just broken chords. Just rotating here. And try and get these notes down at the same time. I don't, but maybe you can. Measure 5. Now we get the augmented. If you don't want to be up in here, you got to do that. Okay, so I can... And then same thing here. And here on the measure 6, I would use 2 on that anyway, stay out here. And then here. Okay. The last measure you have to come down. This is very common in piano playing where we have to move somewhere. I could go 5, 5, but normally it's easier to aim the thumb, so we just come down with the thumb. I could spread out to 3. But this fingering is common, so this is okay. Put the hands together. Well, it's this one, and this one, and this one, and then here. And then here. Make sure the right hand rests there, and then measure 5. The left hand's got to come down during the rest. You put the hands together, and then go back over the treble spots for the whole thing, and work out any hesitations so those eighth notes are even all the way through. And then we'll think about the articulation. They have staccato. I'm hinging at the wrist. I'm just here. The left hand, there's nothing. There's nothing marked in the first line. So the tendency would be to connect them, although you don't have to. You can play those staccato too. But if you connect them, yeah. Second line, now it's staccato both. Rest. You get the idea? However, when they don't give you anything, it's your choice how you want to play it. If I wanted to, I could play that first line disconnected in the left hand. The second line, they don't give you a choice. You have to play them staccato. However, for the atmosphere of the piece, if this is a royal court, I don't think it'd come in hopping and skipping. So we wanted a little more processional, a little more dignified. You know? So we're going to connect that. Don't know about that. Really appropriate for a royal court or not, but at least I can connect the left hand. So I'm going to recommend go ahead and connect the left hand when there's nothing marked. If there's staccatos, you do staccato, but otherwise, no. And then the dynamics. MF at the beginning is mezzo forte, it's the melody, and that's the right hand. Whatever you think sort of loud is. This needs to be soft. Then we're going to start out and go up to loud. Go up to loud. They don't give you an F until measure 5, but really the F belongs on measure 4. That's where you're loud. Here, the left hand stays in the background. And I'm doing it like a beat or so at a time. Louder, louder here. So it's just like a beat at a time. And then measure 8, loud. The first note's loud. This is sort of loud, sort of soft, soft. Here. Because that can't do much with the right hand. It's got one note and it's loud. Now, let's talk about that just a bit. It's interpretation. It has to do, how do you interpret it? Because everybody would play it a little different. How do you feel it? A lot of times in music on these hairpins, like in measure 8, that little air, they don't always put those exactly where they go. Sometimes you have to adjust it based on the interpretation. What does it feel where it should be? If I did, and say, move the hairpin over a little bit, then I could, the first note of the measure would be loud, and then I could immediately start coming down. Moderately loud, and so a little loud, softer. Each one of these is a little softer, and then it's interpretation. Or maybe because of the phrasing, both of those notes in measure 8 is part of the phrase that come, both of them are, they belong in the same phrase. So maybe you want them about the same loudness. Although a lot of times in a phrase, we'll play the last note a little softer. It would come off the phrase. Anyway, the point is you're going to come down. You can experiment on when you come down. Do you come down immediately in that measure? Now come down. Or do you wait until the second beat to come down? So loud, loud, now come down. See, it depends on where you come down at. Start coming down. That's interpretation. I'll play it like it's written, and the second beat I'm going to be loud in measure 8, loud. And then the next measure 9 will be sort of loud. And the left hand gets each one. And you're loud at the end. The last measure is loud with an accent, makes it a very loud note. It's not staccato. So that's not staccato. So just the left hand is staccato. It comes up when I play that. And then not staccato. And that makes it a very loud note. Let the wrist collapse a little bit. Don't bang on it. So it's just for half a beat. Then the speed. Think of a processional. Left, right, left, right. I don't know if you're marching to the beat or to the eighth notes. 1, left, left, 2. 1, 2, 1, 2, 1. If you do that, that's how fast this goes. But if you can slow it down, maybe more to the 8th note, because these 16th notes go crazy if you do that. So it's left, right. Don't copy me, please. You play it as you see fit and get into it. The idea is get past the notes and the rhythm and all that junk, where it's sort of automatic, where you can start feeling it. The natural accent's the first beat of the measure. 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. And when you subdivide beats like this, each beat can get a little accent. So it could be 1, 2, 1 and 2. A little, yeah, feel these. Let's play this together slowly and check the notes and the rhythms. I'm not going to do the louds and softs. I'll do the staccatos. Because of the 16th notes going crazy and 8th notes everywhere, I'm going to put the metronome on beating 8th notes. And I'll give us 2 quarter note counts to come in. Something like that. Or come in when I do. 1 and go and. Rest.